Marvel's Eternals is now out in theaters everywhere. This grandiose, cosmic side of the Marvel Universe is brought to life by the current Academy Award-winning Best Director herself, Chloe Zhao, telling the epic millennia-spanning story of 10 godlike beings created by an even godlier-like being called Arishem, a celestial that holds powers over creation at his whim. So you know, a little bit different than Nomadland.
Where do you want this? Fern, I'm sorry.
Before we get going, hello everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we're trying something different, something that I would like to bring more of to the channel, especially when it comes to these big superhero projects that I love so much. So if you like this type of content, you want to see more of it, please do let me know by liking the video, sharing it, subscribing, commenting with your thoughts. I know it's cliche, but it's literally the lifeblood of this channel. So without any further ado, and spoilers ahead for Marvel's Eternals, let's get started. I loved Eternals, flaws and all. It is not my favorite MCU movie, nor is it even my favorite MCU movie of 2021, despite how much I wanted it to be. It's such a fundamentally different film to the rest of the MCU on a molecular level. Pretty much how Jack Kirby's original works were to the rest of the Marvel comics at the time. The film explores the big, bold, riskier side of the MCU. It is so detached from everything and everyone we already know and love in the universe. I understand why it is not for everybody, but I loved it. I didn't love every single decision, or should I say, I didn't love how close to the sun it decided to fly. Let's talk about Eternals' biggest twist. As someone who grew up on these stories of space gods dealing with their space god problems, there has always been one Eternal that stood from the pack for me. Ikaris. He's the natural leader of the Eternals, so it truly was a shock to me when Ikaris turns out to be the film's villain, and I fucking loved it. Now, yes, it does break my heart a little bit to have a character that inspired me and that I looked up to for so long turn out to be the biggest enemy of his supposed family and then immediately leave just when he's finally brought to life in live action as part of my favorite cinematic universe. More on that in a bit. The reason why I loved Ikaris' twist is because the core relationship at the center of this grandiose story tells a more personal, intimate story of love, loss, guilt, and humanity that deeply affected me. From the beginning, we know the history of Ikaris and Sersi. The film begins with these two meeting each other as they arrive on Earth, and Sersi is enamored with the beauty of our planet. But Ikaris cannot help but keep staring at her, which I can't blame him for it. Nevertheless, one of the things the film establishes the best is Ikaris' utter devotion to Sersi, his unending passion for her, as well as his unshakable belief in their mission and purpose given by Arishem. These two strong core beliefs that Ikaris holds in his heart and has held for thousands of years are understandably hard to shake off on his end. One thing we can also see as the Eternals help and interact with humanity throughout history is Sersi's devotion to humanity, helping them and protecting them, as we see through her harmonious coexistence with them in Babylon. But she is also literally shaping the next generation by teaching them about their history, which she herself helped mold. Which is just a really cool full circle moment in and of itself right there. But while Sersi is passionate about humans, Ikaris is only passionate about her. While Sersi grows closer to humanity, Ikaris grows more indifferent. He respects Sersi's love for humans, but knowing his true purpose, he keeps them at bay. He's cold and emotionless towards them, even when asking Ajax's permission to pursue love with Sersi Ikaris states that he will not allow that to get in the way of Arishem's grand design, proving that Ikaris believes that he will not choose one or the other. And this is why Ikaris's twist works. You see, throughout the film, we're witnessing a broken family getting back together to try and save the universe. Much like Cersei, they've grown to think for themselves, to feel love for this planet, their inhabitants, and existence itself. Unlike Ikaris. However, after betraying his family, attacking them, bringing them to the point of desperation, all in pursuit of this grand purpose as designed by the big man upstairs, proving how unshakable Ikaris's faith in his god is, the one thing he cannot do is harm Cersei. Before and after the twist, Ikaris is a stern, serious, self-righteous, eyes on the prize kind of person. Except when talking to Cersei. And when he's alongside Ajax, Richard Madden truly delivers a mesmerizing and emotionally devastating performance, where his inner conflict is truly shown. Yet, he still kills Ajax. But at the cusp of bringing Tiamut to life and fulfilling his purpose, Ikaris cannot harm the love of his eternal life. And it's beautiful. So beautiful, it might be my single favorite MCU movie moment. And the most human one. When Ikaris sets himself free of Phastos' entrapment and reaches Cersei, locking eyes with her to stop her from fulfilling his and her destiny, he can't. Ikaris, moments before this, says, "I exist to serve Arishem." But turns out, he didn't exist for that. He lived for Cersei. And this is not a big moment of conversation, of a confession to one another. This is pure, raw, earnest emotion, allowing the characters to shine through the beautiful performances. Again, especially from Richard Madden's aching portrayal of a being struggling with his own existence. In this moment, there are no words. There's only reminiscence about how happy they once were. About everything Cersei taught him. Everything humans taught him. There's only emotion. There's only happiness. There's only love. The one core element in Eternals that has been established from its opening shot, as well as Ikaris' blind faith in his god, has been his love for Cersei. All this to say, Ikaris cannot serve his god because of his humanity. To me, this is only the tip of the iceberg on how well Eternals tackles the complexities of human emotions and the human experience in regards to someone who is so new to it all. Even though Ikaris went through his long existence without seeking or even wanting to learn from humans, humanity was the first thing he tapped into that actually saved him. It was love, the fundamental human emotion. And right now you're thinking, well, you seem to have loved it, Ren, turns out. Well, I did, until Ikaris immediately after this flies to the sun and dies. Now, this is the Marvel Universe. He could be alive. We don't actually see him dying. We see him flying into the sun and everything shines bright. We don't actually see a dead body. So for all we know, Ikaris is alive. Let's take this from the perspective that he dies. With all the information we have right now, for all you know, he's dead. He's gone, which is why it irks me so much, and it's my biggest issue in a film I love. Side note, I do love how throughout the film we are informed on how the Eternals influence different parts of history, such as mythology, and different mythologies at that. It's a really nice touch, and as a mythology nut myself, I always describe the Eternals as Marvel's Mount Olympus, even though Mount Olympus actually exists in the Marvel comics, but now the Eternals are literally Mount Olympus. Which is why on a visual and poetic level, Icarus/Icarus's death by flying literally into the sun works. But understand, I am coming from a place as established of someone who loves this character. I idolize Ikaris, the grand leader of the Eternals, the one who could face off against Celestials and is the high god amongst the Council of Gods. I love this character, and I love Richard Madden. I love what he does in this film. And I wish we wouldn't have wasted what could be an incredible character for the future of the MCU. And my biggest problem with Ikaris dying is that, despite all of what I said about his humanity ultimately saving him, the other Eternals, and the world, because of his death, it doesn't feel like the film realizes that. I'm a big fan of redemption when it comes to morally great characters, and Ikaris in Eternals the movie is a fascinating example of one. But redemption is not an easy path. It means doing the hard work to become a better version of oneself, fixing the world he was willing to break, using his gifts for good, like his fellow Eternals have done. I've come to really hold a grudge for stories that only feel like redemption can be found in death. Return of the Jedi did it, and it's cool, but I'm looking at you, Rise of Skywalker. Redemption is not easy. It's a long path. It takes work. It takes hard work to find redemption. Remember the saying, actions speak louder than words? Well, it's actions, plural, for a reason. Think of Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender as an example. Yes, you've heard this one 1,000 times, but you've heard it 1,000 times for a reason. Zuko spends most of the series going through his redemption arc. He starts out as a bad guy. By the end of season 1, he's questioning his beliefs. His faith in what he held true for so long is being questioned. And that's what we spend most of season 2 and 3 on. The resolution to his arc comes right at the tail end of season 2, and by the end of the show, even after defeating his sister, after proving time and time again to Team Avatar they could trust him, the show fully acknowledges his path to redemption is not fulfilled. He has done good work, he has progressed, he is by the end of the series a better version of who he once was. But he still has a lot to do. Zuko is a changed person by the end of The Last Airbender, but there's still red on his ledger. There is much to atone for still. It's not one deed that could or should fix Ikaris's betrayal of his entire family when so many others, like Cersei herself, Kingo, and Sprite, looked up to him as the de facto leader after Ajak. But if only the movie was aware of it. Because in the moment of truth, Ikaris realized he didn't just merely exist for a higher being. He actually lived for someone else. He evolved against the design of his god. What if Ikaris realized that there was humanity within him? That love, the fundamental human emotion, was the thing that stopped him from impeding Cersei of turning Tiamut into marble and not destroying the earth and serve Arashem's ultimate goal? What if Ikaris was not willing to die immediately for his mistakes, but in recognizing the humanity that has been embedded in him, he was instead willing to make up for his sins and keep exploring the humanity that he so obliviously gained through his life on Earth? How would Ikaris deal with his newfound existence? It would not only show us an Ikaris willing to put the effort into bettering himself, into proving to his family how sorry he really was for his mistakes, but it would potentially kickstart a meaningful arc to make him a hero. The hero I once grew up reading about. And that would have brought him closer to the light of the sun than his death ever did. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This truly felt therapeutic to get off of my chest the biggest flaw I had with a movie I do love and share my thoughts with you on a different kind of project. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you got my point. I want to know your thoughts on it. If you enjoy the twist, if you enjoy the death, how did you see the humanity in Ikaris or any other Eternal? I really love this movie. I think every character in their own way is a standout. So I want to know your thoughts. Make sure to let me know all of them in the comments below and start the conversation. Keep it going. Make it eternal. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoy what you saw here, make sure to click that subscribe button. And again, the lifeblood of this channel is the shares, the comments, the likes. So make sure you do all of that if you enjoyed it. And I would love to keep doing these for more big superhero projects. So let me know if you want to see more. Thank you so much once more for watching. Enjoy Eternals. I'm going to be watching it again very soon, and I hope to see you in the next one. So until then, love each other and love the movies.